You know how every now and again we get told there are certain things you can and can't eat? Well, the latest one's interesting. Could fresh fruit be bad for at least one part of your body? Your teeth. Possibly. Let's find out more from Richard Howarth. He's a dentist from Stafford. Good morning.
Good morning.
Is fruit bad for our teeth?
I think, and the research seems to back it up, that the only time fruit is bad for your teeth is if you're doing something very strange with it.
Such as?
Well, eating it in excess. I'd say that there's obviously 5 a day is the general rule of thumb when it comes to fruit and veg. And I think if you're sticking within those guidelines, the likelihood of you eating fruit and causing damage to your teeth is fairly remote. The background to it is that your teeth are made of a mineral which, unfortunately, is soluble in acid. It has been since the beginning of time, and we've adapted to that by having a saliva which is roughly alkaline. So it buffers anything that we eat that's acid. So over time, if you eat something that's acidy, then after sort of half an hour to an hour afterwards, your mouth is back to normal because the saliva has brought the balance back to normal. And there's also, it contains minerals and has remineralized any small amount of minerals that's been lost from the surface of the teeth.
So from what you're saying, given that we know then that acid is bad for our teeth,
yeah.
Is sugar bad for our teeth as well?
Yeah, but that
so in fruits you get a bit of both, don't you?
You do, and we've obviously over the last few years we've been breeding sort of. Say, if we look at apples, say we've got like Braeburns and Jazzy, and those sorts of apples have been bred because they've got a slightly higher sugar content. But the difference is, compared to sugar that you put in your tea and coffee, is it's within the cells of that apple. It's what we call intrinsic sugar. And because of that, it's not readily available to the bacteria in our mouth to produce tooth disease. Now, the difference is, if you then take that apple or that orange and then you convert it into a juice, then suddenly all that sugar and acid is now outside the cells of that fruit and much more available to the bacteria, and also the acid is really fresh on your teeth.
So fruit juice is worse than fruit?
Absolutely.
Okay. What about Coke or other brands of cola? Because they've all got sugar in.
Yeah, they've got sugar. Well, obviously the sugar-free ones won't produce tooth decay because they haven't got sugar in them, and the bacteria can't use the sugar because there isn't any. However, it's the pH or the acidity of those drinks that's the problem. So if you look at the sides of the cans, you'll see that one of the ingredients is either phosphoric acid or citric acid. And those will drop the pH in the mouth way below 6 and 5.5, which is just slightly acid. As soon as it gets below that, the mineral will start to come out of your teeth. So again, it's about frequency and quantity. You know, if you have
what we need, Richard, is an alkaline chocolate.
Yeah, that would be good.
So I can eat that and balance it all up.
Yeah, there are lots of alkaline foods, though, so there are ways of balancing it up. Most green fruit and vegetables tend to be alkaline, so, you know, sort of eating green pepper, crunching on some broccoli stalks, if you're into that side of things, that's fine. The other thing which is quite interesting, and there's something that I never really twigged until I became a dentist, was I've always enjoyed having an apple with a piece of cheese, and I never really understood why, but now I know, because cheese is very alkaline, and the acids, but particularly in the apples that I sort of grew up on, which were sort of very tart apples, the sort of Granny Smiths and that sort of side of things, that the acid in the apple was always balanced by the alkaline in the cheese.
So I guess the other thing to take out of this research that's been done by the British Dental Foundation is smoothies full of fruit. They'll say you've got 2 or 3 portions of fruit in this. Might not be as good for us as we think,
No.
at least not in terms of our teeth.
No, that's basically the rule of thumb, I would say. If it's in a skin, it's fine. Once it's been mashed, processed, or anything else, dried, then that's when the sugars and the acid will do the most damage.
So raisins, currants, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Dates, all bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, when you say bad, in moderation, they're absolutely fine. And I think the key bit is to look at how we use those foods. A lot of those foods can be used as snack foods, and that's probably where they cause the most damage. You know, I enjoy dried fruit, but I must admit I don't tend to use them as a snack. I tend to use them as a dessert, so I'll have them after my main meal. So they're part of a meal. Because when it comes to sugars, it's about frequency that you have the sugars, not the quantity that you have. So little and often does a lot of damage. That 1 teaspoon of sugar in your tea, but you've had 10 cups of tea in the day, is where you get a problem.
OK, really good to talk to you. We'll let you get back to the surgery. Thanks very much. Richard Howarth is a dentist in Stafford. On the news today, that we should be more concerned about sugar, particularly then when combined with acid. And if you've got 1 or 2 spoons in your tea, be warned. If you're a big fruit juice drinker, be warned as well.